Okay, and continuing on. This will be the part two of the uh, Maddie's late November videos. So I'm glad I had those challenges at Country Club because they would have come up regardless. In some way, shape, or form, they would have come up regardless, I think, of my circumstances. And, but then to another extent, it's really interesting to realize, and it's really interesting to realize that there is a full potential, that I had, what my full potential is. Like, I can see that, and it does go with a hanger. It goes with a footnote of, but you need this, I mean, and really, I mean, it comes down to money. Isn't it all about money? I mean, and I think, I don't think you have I think you realize what that's about. I think you're in tune with that aspect. But I think that you have gifts that you realize what you would do with your money and what you wouldn't do. And there's a lot of, everything that you would do is absolutely positive. I mean, you would be exercising your passions, and you would be helping other people by giving them a job for the duration of time that the project went on for. And that's an exciting thing, and it's troubling to me that you have trouble realizing that there are trillions of doors out there, and there are millions that are available to you. I believe this. I believe there are millions of doors that are available to be opened, that are just precisely what you want. Some avenues being longer than others, but it's one of those things where you have to act. You have to take action in order to realize it. In order to know that you're on the right track. And it can be very frightening and very scary when you're not on the right track, because you just don't know what the future holds, and there are deadlines, and you're up against a deadline, and it is scary, but what else can you do? But take action, and it's amazing though. I mean, I think that you are your best resource, and it would really, there seems to be a conflict. There seems to be a conflict that when you were a kid, you remember all these things. Writing, the love of writing is one of them, and the love of writing and the love of goal-oriented things. Like, it seems like I remember more often when you under the age of 21, when you would have a goal, and you knew that if you acted in such a way, you would obtain that goal, and you would achieve your goal. And you remember this feeling very well, and that's a good thing. So in remembering that feeling, compared to what you're going through now, there's quite a contrast. You feel locked in fear, and all those things were boiling. I mean, you also remember that there were a lot of emotional challenges that you had, and believe me, you've done great recognizing them. But when you were saving money to go to the Midwest to visit your friends, for example, you were 13. I mean, think about this for a sec. It's really interesting. You were 13. And I can't remember specifically what fears you were having at that time, but as far as I remember, I mean, I just remember you being extremely excited to save the money to be able to buy the plane ticket and to be able to go. You weren't afraid that it wasn't going to work out. You weren't afraid that you just there were a lot of fears that you didn't have. You just knew that you had to save this much money from babysitting. That's where you saved the money, and you had to save this much money, and by a certain date, and then you would have your plane ticket, and you'd be on your way out to the Midwest, and you did that, and you accomplished that, and you got to the Midwest, and you had fun with your friends, and your my friend Matt had moved back to the Midwest from our hometown, and it was an accomplishment. And then you did it again the next summer because you went out there twice. So you did it 2 summers in a row. Yeah, you did it 2 summers in a row. You went out there twice. It makes sense that you would feel robbed of something. That you love film and you really do have a passion for cinema. There's no doubt about that. But certain things feel like they're more of a challenge today than I wish they were. And I don't want you to overreact about it, but the thing that I think you're genuinely realizing is that they're there. That the part of the inspiration is there. It's just buried under crude oil. I mean, it's like buried under layers and layers of debris and crude and crud and all this, all these past anxieties and troubles you've felt based on responsibilities in adult life. And you recognize that to be the truth, because I think you wouldn't see it as being the truth if you'd have to face another truth if it were more like it had just died. And it's not dead, because if it were dead, you wouldn't have the interests you have. So, in that sense, it's very much alive. And you've been very fortunate, and I'm sure the housing thing will work out. It's just frustrating right now because of the way you're motivated to act, and when you get into a state of inertia and fear, and there comes this why bother quality without you kind of falling down in hysterics. There's kind of this, oh my God, it seems so daunting. And I would really rather there be this sense of like, wow, it's an adventure and I'm gonna tackle it. And if you don't want a job that you feel that reminds you of ones you've had in the past, I mean, like what you were doing tonight at Safeway, for example, and I don't know, it was interesting. You kind of got an answer about them needing help and 40 hours a week and part time, and you were like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I think you were more interested in finding out that do they need help or not, or what is that like, and what is it like getting hired, and well, I mean, I think this is an important statement. I think that now is now and then was then, and now is now and then was then. When you were at Theravance, when you were at that place, that building over there doing, you were the glorified security guard. When you when you were there, you had different ideas and goals and frustrations, and boy do we remember the frustrations, right? And aggravations and things that would hinder, if anyone had felt this burden, that you would sympathize with them to the fullest extent, because it was overwhelming. I mean, it came through no choice of your own. I mean, it was completely, and what came, and you definitely know, and it's burdens like that I think, I think in a way they hamper you. I think that you also, at the same time that it was happening, you recognize it as being very frustrating. That it was an overkill. That it was too much. It was too exaggerated. It was much too much. And so there was a part of you that was very much playing the critic and going, "Oh, I can't believe what I'm thinking right now that I have to do." I mean, it was very, very compulsive oriented, and I mean, compulsion to the max, and it was painful. It was very painful, to the point where I think you were very annoyed with yourself, and you lost it, and you knew as you were losing it, you were losing it. So, and you look back at that now and you go, oh, wow, yeah, learning process. I mean, never in a million years would you do that today, because there's just nothing that would equate that happening today. It just wouldn't make sense, because you were going through a specific process at that time that had you doing the things you did, waking up and catastrophizing about, her, you remember the dating scene and the body in San Jose, and, catastrophizing about, and she lived in San Francisco, and, just losing your fucking mind. And knowing that you were just, you're off your rocker. Wow, you're losing it. So that should be a clear indication to you that, we all go through these processes of learning experiences, and that was a learning experience based on a natural compulsion, based on a natural need that we have, but it manifested as a compulsion because you very much felt extremely compulsive at that time. It's like you need, it was a need, and that you're in a much better place today, for sure. I think that you just need to take more stock in yourself and believe that you doing things and involving yourself is more than worth it. It's really all there is. I mean, to say it's not worth it is to say I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to kick back and watch movies and dick around on the internet for the rest of my life. I mean, that's just not an option. You wouldn't, I mean, yeah, when you're retired, it's, or really retired, you take all of your senses, then it's a different story. But for now, it's not an option, and you want to work on being in the right place, in the right frame of mind, and if that frame of mind is eluding you, you need to take a time out and relax and breathe and meditate. I think this has been really good. I'm looking forward to posting these, and I will do so. And if we want to talk more, we can